Who are you?
I'm Peggy Olson, the new girl.
Peggy Olson is the female lead of the series. She starts out as a secretary in the first season, but goes on to become a copywriter and eventually one of the most important people at Sterling Cooper. Her story is about feminism, with her meteoric rise meant to reflect the new world for women opening up in the 1960s. But as we'll see, it's a long, difficult road to the top.
I'd like to be the first woman creative director at this agency. That's funny to you?
No, I'm impressed that you know exactly.
What else is there?
Peggy is introduced in the pilot as the new girl at Sterling Cooper. She's assigned to be Dawn's new secretary, a position she went to school for. However, she's also a Brooklyn-raised Catholic girl, unfamiliar with the more complicated world of Manhattan. She's a fish out of water, just like the audience. And as the experienced Joan Holloway shows her around on her first day, so too are we introduced to the world of Mad Men.
This job is odd, but it's the best.
At the time, the attitude of women in the workplace was going through a cultural shift. It was now acceptable for women to work and even live on their own. However, work was still seen as a stepping stone for getting married, the ultimate goal every woman should still be aspiring to. And as you would expect of a 1960s workplace, Peggy has to endure sexism and harassment on a level that rises to cartoonish.
And remember, nothing says good job like a firm, open palm slap on the behind.
Originally, Peggy tries to follow the path that Joan lays out for her and looks for a man. She makes a move on Don that he immediately shuts down, and later gives in to Pete's advances, even becoming pregnant from one of their encounters. However, she realizes that he's just using her for his own physical and emotional needs, and that she needs to look elsewhere for her fulfillment.
I could have had you. I could have shamed you into being with me. But I didn't want to.
Eventually, Peggy quickly proves that she's more than just a pretty face. She has a unique insight into their Belle Jolie account, and is given a job writing copy on the side. After working hard and proving herself, she's eventually promoted to a full copywriter, the first woman to do so at the company since the war.
I'm the first girl to do any writing in this office. Since the war. Marge told me.
As the series goes on, Peggy continues to prove she's the most talented of all of Dawn's team. She has slew after slew of incredible ideas, with the work ethic to back it up. Dawn takes her under his wing, acting as a mentor to her. He gives her advice and guidance, not only with ad work, but also with life. When he later forms his own agency, he only wants her out of all of his writers to follow him to this new venture.
What if I say no? You'll never speak to me again.
No. I will spend the rest of my life trying to hire you.
The reason Dawn takes such an interest in Peggy is not just her skill as a creative, it's that he sees himself in her. Like Dawn, Peggy is an outsider in the Mad Men world. Like Dawn, she too has a tragedy that she has to move past. In her case, her surprise pregnancy and giving up the baby. And this shared pain results in them having a father and daughter-like relationship.
Welcome back, Daddy.
Is that a question?
What did you bring me, Daddy?
And like a child to their parent, Peggy tries to be like Dawn. She tries to model herself after him, not only as a creative, but also how he conducts himself as a leader. Though she can see the flaws in him, unlike so many other characters, she still admires what he's managed to create for himself, and aspires to be the same self-made person that he is.
I look at you and I think, I want what he has.
Really?
You have everything. And so much of it.
However, this relationship is not always pleasant. Like his actual children, Dawn can be neglectful and borderline abusive to Peggy. He views her as an extension of himself, and thus doesn't always see her as her own person. He has a tendency to take her for granted, thinking that she owes everything to him for taking a chance on her in the first place.
Everyone thinks you do all my work. Even you.
What's even more funny is that despite Don taking credit for seeing something in Peggy and promoting her, we should remember that he originally only did so to get back at Pete for revealing his identity to Bert. Though he does come to respect her for her abilities, he's not exactly the benign benefactor that he makes himself out to be.
Everything to you is an opportunity. And you should be thanking me every morning when you wake up, along with Jesus, for giving you another day.
Eventually, like any child, Peggy has to leave the house and go off on her own. After learning all she could from Don, Peggy eventually leaves to join CGC, a firm led by Don's chief rival, Ted Chaw. She even sleeps with Ted, which is the third example of her sleeping with guys that he hates, along with Pete and Duck Phillips. It's like a child rebelling against their parents and hooking up with, literally in her case, the bad boy that they hate.
Well, good for you. Where are you going?
Cutler, Gleason, and Shaw.
Perfect.
However, Peggy doesn't get to enjoy her newfound freedom for long. Sterling Cooper and CGC eventually merge, bringing her back under Don's thumb. Her relationship with Ted falls apart too, as he chooses to abandon her to focus on his family. Even after coming so far in her career, she still lacks the agency to fully control her fate.
Someday you'll be glad I made this decision.
Well, aren't you lucky to have decisions?
However, the ending of the series makes it clear that Peggy's on the rise. After Sterling Cooper and Partners is bought out by McCann, Peggy is given a senior copywriter job. It's clear that after spending a few years grinding at the largest advertising agency in the world, along with her other accomplishments, she'll be one of the first female creative directors in the world. Her literal dream come true.
Hell, you're doing fine. Keep it up, you'll be a creative director by 1980.
God, that sounds like a long time.
I'm telling you, it will happen. They just have to get used to the idea. Someday, people are going to brag that they worked with you.
Overall, Peggy's story is about women's new role in society that was emerging in the 1960s. She represents the first wave of women to focus on their careers instead of raising children, and her rise to the top of the advertising business is a reflection of the vast opportunities opening up for women in the world. Peggy is without a doubt a feminist icon, and one of the most well-written examples of that.
I have a job. I have my own office with my name on the door. And I have a secretary. That's you. And I am not scared of any of this.
However, that's not to say that her storyline is perfect. Peggy's ending always felt incongruous with the rest of the series for me. We're told over and over again that money and your career aren't what will make you happy, but rather love and human connection. It's strange then that Peggy is rewarded for focusing on her career to the detriment of all her other relationships.
I mean, I know what I'm supposed to want, but it just never feels right. Or as important as anything in that office.
She loses her connection to both her family and her many boyfriends over the series by not treating them like they're important, just like Dawn does. But instead of being punished for it and ending up alone like he does, she ends up finding love and getting a happy ending in the final montage.
I'm in love with you.
What?
I love you, Peggy.
And this isn't an argument against Stan. I like Peggy and Stan. I think they're cute together. But it's just odd that the moment comes out of nowhere, rather than Peggy having to learn a lesson or change in order to make the relationship work. Stan is even the one who tells her that he loves her first, robbing her of the agency to make that choice herself. Again, an odd decision given that her storyline was all about trying to empower herself to get the things that she wants.
I mean, I must be. Because you're always right. I can't believe this. I think I'm in love with you too.
Now, I understand the feminist angle of her story, and it probably would have been a bad look for the show to be encouraging women to focus on their families over their careers. But I just think that Peggy's story doesn't have a satisfactory ending because it avoided addressing the real thematic issues of the show.
You spend your whole life thinking you're not getting it. People aren't giving it to you. Then you realize they're trying. And you don't even know what it is.
But setting that aside, Peggy is still an incredibly well-written character. Competent, driven, and beautifully flawed, Peggy is one of the central pillars of the show, and watching her go from a naive young secretary to a badass copywriter was one of the best and most empowering parts of Mad Men.
Peggy, can you get me some coffee?
No,